Welcome to V is for Victory, a podcast about how small businesses overcome big battles. I'm your host, Jill Miller of Vera Creative, a boutique marketing firm in the Chicagoland area where I'm also a part-time professor of an advertising course. Join me as I talk with entrepreneurs about the challenges they face as well as their strategies for success. So welcome everybody. We are here in episode 19 of V is for Victory. And I am here with Debbie and Jim of Camp Bow Wow, which is located right here in New Lenox. Guys, thanks for coming on the show, and I'm just so glad to talk with you today. I have brought my dog Rusty to your facility and my dog Buddy, and it's great. And I'm super excited to dive into your business.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed meeting you and your husband and Rusty and Buddy. We are so happy you invited us to this podcast.
Yes, so tell our listeners a little bit about your background. Wasn't always in pets and dogs and in pet care. So tell us a little bit just about your background and then what led you to the decision of starting a franchise.
Well, we have always had a love for dogs, my husband and I. That was foremost. But mainly when actually in college, I used to volunteer at a shelter. We always used to go visit with my sorority sisters. We used to visit shelters a lot. When we finished with school, we lived downtown, and I joined Paws Chicago, and I ended up being invited with a few of my good friends to be invited on their junior board. So we did a lot of fostering, adoption events, and it was always a fun social event we did because we catered to kind of our age people. So we've had events at art galleries or bars, and so we had a lot of adoption events off Michigan Avenue and Halsted where a lot of our people our age lived, and it was very successful with that. And so until we moved to the suburbs, it was more challenging to get back down to stay with Paws, but I, of course, still support them. But it was hard to be on the board then once we moved and started a family out in the suburbs. So my husband and I were researching what we can do to work with dogs besides volunteering at shelters, and he was researching franchises because we wanted to be guided. We weren't really sure how we were going to go about the actual business model, how to go about anything really. So it was so nice when we found Camp Bow Wow, and they had a great reputation, great business model, and that led us to discussions with them. It's been over a 2-year process that we've been in this planning stages and now finally open.
That's great. So walk me through a little bit about, what did that 2 years look like? Paint a really vivid picture. Were there other franchises that you looked at? Who got involved? Were there mentors? Were there financial advisors? What did the preparation and the research all look like?
Sure. And this is Jim. I'll start. So, we started investigating this about 2017. Just with Debbie and I, we both have been in the corporate world and working various positions inside corporate America, and just kind of looked for something else to do later in life that would maybe kind of take us into our retirement years and something that we would enjoy. So we started looking at franchises, as Debbie mentioned, and there's several that, kind of popped up in the area. With Camp Bow Wow, there was a couple of them that actually were in Chicago, so we were able to, kind of drive by, visit their facility, talk to the people internally. We researched a couple others, and then, just through the web, kind of answered some questions and looked into, kind of narrowed it down to 2 of the facilities. We did visit some of the other just local facilities that were just more, kind of doggy daycare or boarding facilities. And noticed that, with Camp Bow Wow, there just seemed to be a more formality to it, more organized, definitely cleaner. And we kind of liked that approach. And without ever having that many dogs in a given area at a specific time, we just thought that a franchise was going to give us the opportunity to really learn more about really how to start your own business and learn from what other people have done to make it successful. And so we started working with Camp Bow Wow in the middle of 2017. We visited them at their corporate facility in Colorado. They kind of interview us. We kind of interview them. There's obviously a lot of financial discussion that goes back and forth just to make sure that you understand kind of what's involved from a financial standpoint to, not only pay for a franchise, but what would opening a franchise look like? What kind of financial commitment would be needed? How does your credit look? What does your financial history look like? And so, they guided us through all of that and really kind of prepared us for, can you meet these requirements? And if you can meet these requirements, more than likely they can help you find the correct lenders for, the given type of business and arrangement from a, lease or owning a building, that sort of thing. They'll give you some ideas as far as what's that going to take and kind of where you go from there.
That's fascinating. So do you think all franchises are that helpful and that involved? Or maybe you don't know the
To be
answer.
honest, I'm not sure. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not too sure. I have investigated some other franchises in the past, and I, more on the quick service restaurant type thing, and they, seem to be pretty organized as well. I think the larger and more established ones definitely are going to give you some better information. I'm not saying that larger is always better, but I just think that they tend to have that many more franchises that they can, use that experience of all those other locations and say, well, some lease, some buy, some do this, and some do that. And so you can kind of get a flavor for what other people are doing and kind of tailor that to what makes best sense for you and your financial situation.
Yeah. So that's great. What about things like big hard lessons, big battles, like anything come to mind that maybe surprised you that you had to learn, a hard pill to swallow? Maybe you learned something about yourself.
I would say the first hard pill was really just the location. We had an established territory that, and we had an idea of where we wanted to be. We had an idea of what we thought would be a good spot for the business. And then when you start looking at locations, just because you want to be in a specific spot doesn't mean you're going to find the right size building, the right layout of the building, and the right location, the right price. So we started investigating that really in 2017 and thought, hey, we could be open in 6 to 9 months. And the reality was, we spent about 6 months looking at different facilities, really weren't finding what we were looking for, and kind of started to decide maybe we'll do a ground up building, in Lockport and near the area where we thought it would work out best. And we spent quite a bit of time and money researching that, investigating whether it would be feasible, doing various things with architects and soil tests and, really laying it out so that you can understand whether the city will actually approve you for that type of a business. And, the one thing that I would say we learned from that is that, it's a fairly costly process, and you really have to make sure you understand what all those costs are going to look like, and then make sure that you have the banking and financial ability behind you to do that. And, one of the things that we learned, unfortunately, after several months of looking at doing a ground-up building was that at the end of the day, existing buildings were at a much more cost-effective rate versus a new building. And there were some codes in Lockport that made the building costs be a little bit more expensive. And so at the end of the day, when we looked at it, the building was not going to appraise for what we needed it to, which just means, the bank was asking us to come up with even more money. And at that point, we were kind of putting in what we felt we could put in. And so, we kind of went to plan B and really started investigating other buildings that were available because it is something that we did want to own as opposed to lease. And luckily, we were able to find, a cost-effective building that layout worked very well for us in New Lenox. That was part of our territory. So it all worked out very well in the end. But, as you can imagine, there was quite a bit of time and money spent on a property that we were never able to develop.
Yeah, so a couple things come to mind there. One, just being new to any business or being an entrepreneur, part of it is just having a flexible mindset. Like you don't want to nail yourself down or tie yourself down to one idea or one location. You kind of got to be open to other ideas, like you were saying. And then just having that kind of intuition or ability to know when something isn't going to work out and when you need to walk away from it, because that can be hard, especially after you've invested time and money.
Right. And I would say time and money is probably the biggest factor where, you don't realize when you kind of look back and go, wow, I spent, this amount of time and this amount of money. And really the time is almost, a bigger factor, because at the end of the day, once you start spending your money, you're not going to see a return on that money for quite a while after you open. So if you're spending a lot of time and money researching it and you're still not even finding the place where you actually want to kind of set down your roots and eventually open up your facility, now it's just dragging on. And so for us, it was a hard lesson. But I think in the end it worked out well. Had we been open earlier, with COVID, we probably would have had to shut down and definitely, would have opened at a much tougher time.
Right. So it all worked out in the end. The other thing I was kind of hearing in that is, I was relating to you in my head because a client of mine recently went from renting to owning. And it's interesting how, as a business owner, you wear many, many hats. But when you're talking about buildings, now it's like you become a real estate agent and you become all these other things, and you become so well versed in all these other industries that maybe you didn't know anything about prior to. Was that your experience?
Oh, this is Debbie. Yes, absolutely. So what was wonderful about Camp Bow Wow's franchise is from the beginning, we always had their support. So they have a construction team, a real estate team, an operations team, a marketing team for every phase of our building. So that whole time we were going back and forth on property, the real estate and construction team, we had weekly calls with them, and they flew out as well to Chicago and to guide us. And that is the main reason we did this with a franchise versus on our own, because we had and still do have their guidance every day on supporting us and running. We do own our camp, and we do run our camp, Jim and I, and our wonderful manager, Amy, but and also a wonderful staff. But we definitely could not have done this without their guidance. They, like I said, from the very beginning, the construction team, looked at that property, the original property, and then again flew out for the new Lenox location. And then immediately the construction team, guided us with the architect. And this is what you're looking for, a general contractor. And this is an approximation of how everything should cost. And because they also have been around for over close to 20 years, they started franchising, I believe, in 2003. The founder, I think, found it in 2000. But what they have established and tested and tried many of the aspects of camp, the bridges, the gates, the flooring, the cleaning supplies, marketing. Over being around for close to 20 years, they have tried and tested everything for us. So all of that was already done. In fact, everything we had to order was down to the exact number for the size of our facility. So a lot of that legwork was so helpful.
Right, yeah. So when was your official date that you guys opened?
We opened the end of August. I believe it was the 26th or 27th of 2020.
Of 2020. So
yeah,
how did the marketing team really help you guys launch, and what did you have to do in terms of on your own? Did you do a lot of networking, community involvement?
Well, they have also been with us for the beginning, and there was, weekly timelines of things that we should be doing. Now, at this point, this is what you're doing as far as marketing materials, and obviously that was pre-COVID, so we were able to attend events. They do grassroots marketing. They recommend that. They recommend, save and looked up events in our area for us, even though we did have a marketing person. So very helpful in guiding us on what other camps and their techniques and marketing events they did. So that was helpful. We did do a lot of grassroots. We did a lot of events that were kind of related into our territory, surrounding territories, as well as they also hired a PR firm in the beginning, which helped us. But then, of course, once events stopped and slowed due to COVID, we did struggle on getting events. But we were still always doing, the social media, and we're still trying to grab some of the events, very involved with the chambers in our area who have been very supportive and very helpful. So the marketing team, same thing. They're still with us, weekly calls, always, having COVID responses or help how we can still market during COVID. And so with that aspect, they have, guided us as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. What was I going to say about that? I was going to say something about that, and then I took my eyes off the prize for like 1 second. Oh yeah. So what are your time management tips? Because it sounds like, and were you working still in the corporate world while you were doing all of this? Because I can imagine weekly calls with the marketing team and weekly calls with the construction team and the real estate, like that can get to be a lot, especially if you're still balancing a 9 to 5 or more hours than that a week.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and I'm still in the corporate world. Actually, fortunately, Debbie was able to step up and do more on the operations side of the business, especially as we got closer to open. She's really taken over and run the business from an operational standpoint. I'm more behind the scenes working with, the bank and the accountant and just the things on the financial side and paying the bills and those type of things. But I would say Debbie does just about everything from an operations standpoint along with our manager, and really got us to the point where we were able to open. And again, due to COVID, we had plans to open, really beginning of summer 2020. And with COVID, once we started doing demo in the building that we purchased, it delayed things quite a bit. And at the same time, we really weren't pressing to have our guys go faster just because we didn't know what it would look like when you actually opened, if people would be able to come out, if their dogs would be able to come. And so, we kind of slowed things down a little bit. And then as the COVID numbers started going down a little bit better towards the summer, we did make a big push, and we were able to open before the end of August. We did get the Labor Day weekend holiday in there, and of course have been open since. But my current job is still in the corporate world from a full-time basis, and Debbie primarily runs from an operations standpoint.
So it sounds like just maybe the advice there and the key is having the right team of people in place. Would you agree? Yeah,
and making sure that you both talk about it. I would say that I don't think Debbie was prepared to do as much of the operation stuff as she does. She still does work outside of her position, but it's a little bit more of a flexible position. So hour-wise, she can devote a little bit more to camp and a little less to her current position and still kind of maintain that. So it's a good flexible position to do that. But, yeah, I would definitely say, like everything, it takes more time, it costs more money, and takes much longer than you thought. But, at the end of the day, we own a business together. We own the building. We anticipate it to be successful. We're growing it nicely. The community seems to like it. There definitely was a need for it. And, again, as we to continue to get better positioned out of COVID and have people, getting back to work and traveling for work and traveling for pleasure, our numbers will hopefully continue to grow. And, that's really the plan.
All right. So I have 2 questions. What's the end game? What's the long-term plan? Do you have like your vision board? What would be on it? Is it you leaving your 9 to 5 sometimes, or are you going to stick that out through retirement? Like what's the,
yeah,
give me the inside scoop.
Yeah, there's not necessarily an end game. I mean, again, what drove us into this type of a business was our passion for dogs. And so we both really love that aspect of it. So, again, it was more just having, options for our future, whether, I stay in corporate America for, 10 more years and retire from that, or slowly, be able to do something else and be able to do both a little bit more full time. And then obviously with Debbie's schedule, hers is a little bit more flexible. So it just kind of depends. But, again, the long-term plan is that we continue to stay with the business and make it as successful as we can and enjoy, what we're doing.
Yeah. I know we talked a little bit about this, Jim, and I don't know if you remember, but when we were face to face and my dogs were having their little testing phase there, but we talked a little bit about your family, and do you think that there's anyone in your family that would take over the business, or do you see having to sell it someday? Because I know sometimes people start things with the intention of it being a family business, a family operation, something that gets handed down from generation to generation. So where are you guys at with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have two daughters together, and both of them work at camp. My youngest is a junior in high school and works at camp and works very well with dogs and loves dogs, kind of has that same passion. Our oldest daughter is studying to become a pilot, so her flexibility will probably be less, and my youngest daughter really is looking to get into being a teacher. And it's kind of a great profession to be able to be a teacher, and also a lot of times when teachers are off is actually when we're our busiest. So she can kind of still do both, and whether she stays involved with the business, owns the business, manages the business, I'm not sure what that looks like. We'll kind of cross that bridge in those years when we need to, but it's definitely something as a family that we talked about and looked as a long-term plan, that it gives us a lot of options together, as well as with my children, for them to continue to maintain the business, and our niece is the manager. So that is something that between her and my daughter that, someday that might be, something they do together.
Yeah, that's great. And so it sounds like your children are really driven. They obviously get that from you guys. Who inspired you guys? And who do you kind of lean on for inspiration and model your behavior after?
Well, I'd love to give you a great answer on my parents or my family, but no, I mean, I would say both of us, grew up in Chicago. I would say both of us grew up in Chicago, and definitely on the lower end of the income spectrum, and our parents all had a good work ethic, and education was definitely strived for both of us. We went to college together, and that's where we met. And so I think coming out of college, we continue to have a strong work ethic. And as we got older in our lives and kind of looked at, what do we want to do someday, again, this was a great business opportunity, but it was also something that we were both passionate about. I mean, when I would watch my wife and kids look on Facebook and look up dogs and watch dog videos, and just kind of thought about, wow, the industry in general is a growing industry. It's a segment that has done very well, and I think will continue to do very well. But it's also something that we really have a passion for. And so, again, it's not so much that we want to make X amount of dollars off it. It's more just something that we really enjoy to do. And at the same time, gives us a lot of options later in life to say, do we want to, stay involved with the business, or does my daughter or niece get more involved with the business? We'll kind of cross that bridge someday. But I think, again, both of us grew up and worked hard to get to where we are today. And I think that, we were fortunate to be able to do some things financially to get into this position to actually own it. But, again, we've both worked very hard for the last, 30 plus years out of college, and thought this was a good kind of next step for us as a family and us as a financial investment.
There's a quote by John Mark Comer that says, sometimes a calling is just staring us in the face. We just need to make eye contact. And I was thinking about that quote because it sounds like, a lot of hours were spent caring for dogs and just being really passionate about dogs. And then the kind of like a light bulb clicked where it was like, hey, this is perhaps really what we've been called to do. And I love that you just, you followed that passion, but you did it in a really smart, financially smart, all the research was done. I'm a research nerd. Everyone who listens to the podcast knows that. So I love this story. I love how the story is just shaping up. But I did want to dive in too, because I know I feel like I have a high expectations of people. People tell me this all the time. And so when I go into a business, I'm not easy to please. And I was just so pleased with your facility. And I had so much fun taking the tour and getting to go in the back and just learning about all the build out and everything. So paint a picture of what your facility is like for our listeners, because I think there's so much that goes into it that people don't even see or don't even realize. But tell us some of those little insider tips that make your facility so special.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and that was one of the biggest things we love is meeting our new customers and our new campers. It is truly, we do get, because we hire people that have the same passion. They are just as excited when new dogs come in, as well as our existing customers. So that is foremost. It literally is super genuine to have such a really amazing staff that truly cares for the dogs like their own. There's many conversations regarding how when they leave camp, they go home and talk about dogs and, oh my God, how about Jack finally played? Or, it is conversation at our dinner table almost every day about did you see Lady Letty playing today? She's the queen of our camp. And so it's just, it's truly the passion. So what I believe is the biggest perk that we truly loved about Camp Bow Wow is the live webcams, the cameras. It's wonderful to have the cameras there for pet parents to watch their dogs on our app. So the whole concept of our camp is that they play the whole time they are there. So they go for 2 rest breaks throughout the day. But other than that, they're in the play yards, and parents at home are able to watch on their computer or their phone. We take a lot of pride in our cleanliness of our facility. Again, guided by camp corporate, we use medical-grade pet-safe cleaning supplies, and we clean often. Whenever we hire new people, we always ask, I know you love dogs, else you wouldn't be here, but do you also like to clean? Because that's a big aspect of our camp. And because of the webcams, people are able to watch us clean, which is hilarious because, there are some times where, my husband will jokingly call or text and say, you missed a spot in play yard 1, jokingly, because he can watch us clean. Because the cameras are operable during our hours of operation or open and closing. So, but that is really the biggest probably, and then the fact that they do play the whole time they're there. We also have cabins that are more of a little more comfortable area than just a crate. So we have certain size cabins based on the size of the dogs. And so when they do go for their rest breaks or any type of boarding, it is a little more comfortable space for them. And they have room to roam. And again, they're only in there for rest breaks and to sleep. And because they play all day, our concept is they play all day and snooze the night away, because they truly sleep because they play really hard during the day. We do have a counselor in every yard, and they rotate every hour. That way, it's interesting when you watch a new counselor come in. I always joke that, like, am I a big piece of liver sausage? They are so excited to see me. And everyone jokes, like, do you have treats in your pocket? Why are they so happy to see you? But it's truly because that rotation, and it's a new stimulation And dogs are becoming social and get to meet new camper and friends and definite socialization, as well as being around other dogs, other people, and having that space to roam. We have indoor and outdoor yards, so they're freely can go in and out, weather permitting, obviously, and they love the snow. Oh, my God, today was the cutest. They love snow on the yard, so they had a blast in the snow today. But, so that's probably our biggest luxury suites we have. We have 3 that have 24-hour pet camera access for the parents, and they have their own TV, and you bring any comforts from home. And besides that, we have 75 regular cabins. But I would say those are probably our biggest options that we have that probably set us apart. But truly, the staff that we've hired have such a love for dogs. I mean, it's very evident on the cameras. It's evident in the suites when you're watching dogs. Even if my husband has actually sat and hand-fed dogs because they are not eating and they're boarding, and we want to make sure they're not hangry, when they go back in the play yard. So we do everything we can to treat them as our own. So we take as much time as we need to take care of them.
Yeah, and I know Jim touched on this a little bit earlier, but I just want to stress, I'm a former Greyhound owner, and if you're a Greyhound owner, you stress out constantly about those dogs getting loose because, they don't last really long when they're on the run. They're not distance runners, but boy, can they get far pretty fast. So talk to me about the gates, because I know that's just, even though I don't own Kitty anymore, sadly she passed away, but if I had to bring a Greyhound there, I would just feel so comfortable with her being there and the safety and knowing that, there was no way she could escape. So talk a little bit about the safety precautions that are in place.
Sure. Well, what's wonderful is there are many doors to get out. Basically, so they have to go through many obstacles if that were to ever happen. We do have a Greyhound Betty who's absolutely wonderful, who comes to camp often. She's just amazing. I wish I had where I can just send out, hey everyone, Betty's at camp, because she's such a joy to watch. And there's so many wonderful regular clients that come in that we truly pickle. Bowie. There's so many dogs that we absolutely love because not only you can really see their love they have for camp by coming in, but they're our best advertisement. Their parents say they start crying when we turn the corner of the block because they know they're coming to camp, and they race in. But we have play yards that we do separate by weight. And since there's a counselor in every yard, we do some gate management to make sure when dogs are coming in and out or going home or entering the play yard, we do a process called gate management where we're really trying to get a little bubble to get dogs in and out. We also have high fences within where the cabins are in case on that hallway, just to keep them safe. Our outdoor fences are very high, very secure. They actually don't have any access out because there's a double lock. It's only for emergency purposes. In an event of an emergency, our counselors would get them out a certain way. But other than that, there is no access out the yards except for an emergency gate, which is a double gate. We also have indoor, very durable fences, again, getting in and out of the play yards, as well as the cabins. They do have slats so they can see their neighbor, which is really sweet. You'll see dogs across from each other. And then each hallway has a gate. And then in order to even exit the lobby, there are doorways. So literally, even if they happen to get out of their play yard or cabin, they would not be able to leave. And then once they leave the doorway, there's another set of gates that are in our lobby. So when I think you'll recall where you were for the interview,
Yeah. Where my dog
skates there.
Both times I brought him in.
Yeah.
So embarrassing.
No.
The Millers are here.
No, believe me, they paw their way to get in. It's so funny, and then they are excited to see their owners. But a few of them have even, if their owners and I are talking for a bit, they end up wanting to go back in, so they head back towards the entrance, and she's like, no, we're going home, we're not going back in. So,
they're like, forget you guys, I want to go play.
Right.
Exactly. That's so sweet. Talk to me a little bit, this is one of my last questions before we get into some rapid fire, just getting to know you questions, but you talked about your staff, and I know for a lot of business owners, it's very hard to find good help and help that has the same drive and passion level about your business as you do. So what has your hiring process been like? What does it look like? How do you find good people to work for you?
Well, we are so blessed to have, like Jim had mentioned, family involved. It has just been amazing. Amy, our manager, is such an integral part of our camp, and she definitely works with a lot of our hiring process. We could not have done this without her either. So it's so important because she has been with us since the beginning. All of our training in Colorado for weeks at a time, she has come with us and attended. So she has been with us since we've been in the process, so she's very aware of how much was involved. So she has that same love, passion, respect for the business. Her brother works for us. My sister works for us. So it's basically family-owned, family-run. I think they see the camaraderie. I think they see the compassion that we all share. So because I'm so social, obviously, and talk so much, we also find really friendly staff, and we established that through their interviewing process. So the staff that we have now, the majority of them have been with us since we've opened. Obviously, there's been some turnover just based on their personal needs, but obviously not from our end. They just had other personal needs to attend. But we do look for, obviously, the passion for the dogs, but their personality, the friendliness, work ethic, and, we really make it a very pleasant environment for them. Amy definitely manages the staff so well. We're probably a little silly with them. We make sure they're comfortable with us and they can approach us with any questions. We're really flexible with them as far as a lot of them are in school, some to be vet techs, some work at grooming salons. Some of them have backgrounds with animals, so their passion is there already. But we do look for similar characteristics that we have, and it's very evident when they do arrive at an interview. We just both look at each other and smile and go, all right, she's the one, let's hire her.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. One of our counselors is also our marketing person, so she's turning into our marketing. Yeah, so that's helpful too.
It is helpful because that's how you get those good pictures. Like there's a lot of businesses where I'm just kind of like, I can help you, but when, social media and pictures are such a large part of your marketing, it's hard if I'm not there every day taking pictures. But you guys capture some of I just love looking at your social media. I'm always liking and commenting. You probably see that. But
thank you.
Yeah, so it's great. It's great that person is internal, I think that's really important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, some fun questions. What's the funniest dog name you've come across?
Sloppy Joe.
Can
I give you a couple? Can I give you a couple?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Sparky Donut, Pickle. I always ask the background too. So like Bowie, I said, do you love David Bowie? We have Sloppy Joe, Chewy, Pickle.
I love Sloppy Joe. Was there a backstory with that?
Oh, I don't
blubbery
know.
dog.
He's a Bernese mountain dog. He's
okay, yeah.
so adorable. Yeah.
That's fitting. Aw.
We have Gomorrah. Yeah, we have. We love the people names too, though. We always find it so funny. We have a dog, Kevin. He's a retriever. We have Mark and George. It's just funny calling them people names.
Right.
Yep.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So you get we do get your your typical Bellas and which is that's our dog's name. Coco.
Yeah, that's our dog. Yeah.
Gigi. Yeah. Cute. Yeah, definite cute names. But we also we have some interesting names. So it's so funny. Oh, I guess this is a really good one too. There's a dog named Dog, but it's spelled D-E-O-G. So they call him
Oh my
D.
gosh. Aw, that's so cute. My greyhound was named Kitty, so that threw people. Kitty the dog. I talk about Kitty. They're thinking I'm like, well, she's kind of like a cat. She sleeps about 18 hours a day.
Right.
What's your favorite dog breed? Can you put your finger on just one or two?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's really hard. Well, my husband and I, we this is our third and fourth chocolate lab that we had. We've always had chocolate labs, but also we've rescued dogs too, so we usually don't know what they are. They're a big mix.
Yeah.
Nice combo dog, but no, I really don't have a favorite, I guess. I guess maybe I'll answer as chocolate lab just because we have two and we've always had those.
That's a good one. They're crowd pleasers. Good family dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
What book or TV show are you totally into lately, or both?
Well, because I do run the operations and I am at camp mostly, I am sorry to say I never finish series. Jim and I used to be really good with trying to watch together. I'm so behind I'm like still on series 1 of Ozark, and which of course
love Ozark. Yep.
Yes, and then even what's the one with Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon? I'm behind on that one too.
Oh,
it was on HBO.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't watch it. But yeah, that's similar.
Little Lies, something Little Lies.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That's similar in our household too. Where we kind of, after we had our first kiddo, it got harder and harder to find the time to watch TV to finish a series. So my husband's a little bit better he can stay up later than me. I'm like I go to bed super early. So
yeah, me too.
So he gets further into the series than I do, but I'm like you.
Yeah,
and for book,
my sister.
And for book,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, my sister is an avid reader, so she's always sending her books. But that's the same thing. I'll start a book, and then if I start reading it, and then I'll put it down, and then I forget to read it. I love autobiographies, and kind of a funny one. I love Amy Schumer, so I always read silly ones. So I would love to say this very intellectual book, but actually I kind of like funny books. Sometimes, especially with the news, I'd rather have something that's more entertaining for me. For sure. Than super deep.
Yeah. The book I'm reading right now is called Dirty Genes. It's a health book. It's by a doctor. And his work is pretty fascinating. I've just dove in to a couple pages, but I'm pretty pumped about it. I sent it to my husband, and I said, order me this for Valentine's Day. So that was my Valentine's Day.
What is it called?
It was a Dirty Genes. Genes.
Oh, Dirty Genes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna look that up.
And I know you guys just got back from vacation, but what's your favorite vacation you've ever taken?
Oh, well, it was funny. We took our kids skiing, and they've always just skied local, so they never realized how out west the big mountains and hills and how long you're on a lift. And you're up 8,000, 9,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of entertaining because we would go halfway down the hill And then, are we finished yet? No, we have another 25 minutes down the run. So my older daughter said, I think I'm more of a summer vacation or a more tropical location. And literally, we were up on the mountain. We had so much longer to go down, and that's what she said. Like, basically, why did we do this? But so, yes, they love the beach. They love the pool. They love the sun. My kids, especially if we ever did an all-inclusive, they love to order those chocolate monkey, whatever, those fancy non-alcoholic drinks. So I would probably say, well, they've been to Hawaii. They loved Hawaii. So that's one of their favorites and our favorites. So I would probably say Hawaii. I also love Cabo.
Yes. So I've not been to Cabo. I've been to Maya Tulum, and we thought about Hawaii for our honeymoon, but we ended up in Costa Rica, and I'm not sorry about that. Costa Rica was fantastic.
How nice.
Yeah. Okay, last question for you. Best piece of advice you've been given or you want to give our listeners today?
I'm going to think about it. I'll let Jim answer first.
All right.
I would say the best piece of advice is really just to follow your passion and do something, that you kind of take control and own. I mean, if you have the drive to do that, again, it's pretty rewarding. Again, I probably look at the cameras more than I am able to be at camp just because of my, regular job. But, seeing the dogs come in the morning, as Debbie mentioned, and being so excited to be there. And then, when I am there and the dogs get checked out and the customers come in and they, just kind of talk about how, much they love the facility, how much their dog loves the facility, how tired their dog is after being in the facility, what a wonderful staff and clean place. I mean, it's just really rewarding knowing that, you built this, whether it was our idea or concept, that's okay. But, we're employing, people with good jobs that they seem to like and like to come to, and our customers also enjoy that same thing. So it's, it's really rewarding from that standpoint. I mean, I've been in corporate America for over 30 years and, I've done very well in commission and sales and things like that. But, there is something to be said, when your customers just kind of rave about you, and, people and their pets are, very attached. And for many of our customers, especially, they're coming to us because they love their pet, as their child or possibly better than their child. And, for us to be a part of that and for them to trust us and really come back and say, such positive things. I mean, I think as owners of that, it's very rewarding. Financially, obviously, if everything works the way we anticipate they work, I mean, it was a good financial move also. And, I think that it's setting us up for, retirement that maybe looks different than others, but it's definitely something that we enjoy to do. And you have kind of a revenue stream that's not, what's your pension or what's your 401k worth, and that's kind of the end of it. It's something that I think we enjoy to do. And, it's interesting. We were talking the other night, a lot of our customers have puppies because of COVID. And, it'll be interesting to see those dogs go from, being 6 and 8 months old to, 10 and 12 years old, and hopefully being a part of their life for that whole time and really just enjoying it together.
You bring up a good point, because I think when you follow your passion and you do have something that is so rewarding, even after a long day or when you're tired or maybe when you feel like you should be retired, you still have the drive. You still have the energy, and you still get fired up about it. And that, that's how I look at my job. Like, I love my job so much. I love working with clients. I love the creativity that I get to implement, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day or how late I work at night. Like, if I'm working, I'm just having so much fun, and that it makes it easier to to kind of manage time and to want to get to the computer every day. Like I look forward to it. And that can be rare these days. So that's a great point that you bring up.
Thank you.
Did you think of one, Debbie?
Well, it's hard to top his answer. That was absolutely how we feel. Like our wedding video, his grandparents said, I say the same thing, Jim's grandparents, I say the same thing as Jim. But honestly, I do think that even when we ask our staff, they always say, it doesn't feel like work. And the fact, it really doesn't when we're there. When I'm doing emails or ordering supplies, I periodically will sneak into a play yard and then go from yard to yard. And I said, give Mama some love. I need some love. So I get lots of cuddles. And again, like I was saying, it's like I'm a big piece of salami or liver sausage. Like they are all so receptive. And to get to know the owner's dogs, the pet owner's dogs, and to feel like you are making their lives so much more enjoyable. And there's nothing like their unconditional love for you when you come in. I mean, because we don't give treats in the yard. All we give is love. So it's so nice that to get that reception from them every time you walk in. So that is, again, so rewarding for me. And the fact that our staff, in the beginning even especially, they're like, I feel like I'm just volunteering. Like it doesn't feel like a job because I get to play with dogs all day. So it's so nice. Obviously with cleaning, but it definitely is so rewarding for that. So I would have to say that it, obviously doing the emails and other things and the operation side, there are some aspects to it that is obviously work or business, but again, just to go I walk right out of the office and I go right into a play yard, and that's the whole reason why we did this, is just to be able to get all the love from these dogs. That's what I enjoy most about it.
That's great. So I just want to thank you guys again for your time today, and let people know what your social media handles, where can they find you online?
We are Camp Bow Wow New Lenox, and definitely there are over 170 of them, but you just have to find the New Lenox location. Our website and social media are all just Camp Bow Wow New Lenox, and yes, call us anytime. We can set up interviews. Our first day is free, which is that interview day, so they can kind of get comfortable being introduced to camp, which is great. I always tease Jim that if I can get people in the door, we will keep them because of our passion for the dogs.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And for the staff that we have. They really do love all of our perks that we have, and I do think it's peace of mind knowing that they're able to watch their dogs. So basically the whole time they're there.
Yeah, the video is key. I had that when I lived in the city, and I struggled when we moved out to the suburbs to find a facility that provided videos. So when I found you guys, and then when I realized how close you were, I was like, whoa, because we were driving like all the way to our vet in Flossmoor. So, you tack on like a long road trip, and then you tack on another 30, 45 minutes just to pick up the dogs. And it's like your car is still full of, your luggage and everything. And then you got 2 dogs and the kid. And it's just like, it was getting to be a little much. So I'm super pumped about your facility. And we'll see you on Valentine's Day weekend, because Rusty and Buddy are going to be boarded while we head out of town to the spa. Yes. So,
yes, we're so excited. Guys. I saw that.
Yeah. So thanks again, guys, for your time. I really appreciate it. And best of luck. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Thank you so much, Jill. It was so nice to meet you when you came in for your interview, and we appreciate you inviting us to this podcast. It has been so much more fun. You're right. I was so nervous in the beginning, but you made it very comfortable, and the conversation flowed. So thank you so much for your time as well.
Oh, thank you so much.